country. It's amazing how fast this debt has gone up just in recent months. We're going to talk about that here in a second as well. Oklahoma Senator James Lankford joins us now. Sir, good to have you on. You posted this on Twitter earlier. In September, you said our national debt was $28 trillion. In just 4 months, our national debt has hit $30 trillion. We have a huge problem here, don't we?
We do have a terrible problem. It's accelerating. And this is what many of us have talked about for quite a while, to say once you get to a point that you've got this much debt accelerating, you've got additional interest payments that are piling up on you, and you've got this much overspending that's happening, it's very difficult to be able to get the flywheel to stop turning at this point. We've got to get attention to all of Congress and to this White House that this is a serious issue, that we've got to be able to reduce our spending. We have to address the major issues that are here, and Democrats have got to stop just printing money as they did last March with $2 trillion and to say, we feel like throwing more money out to be able to buy things. You can't do that. That's caused the inflation that we're dealing with right now, and it's continuing to accelerate our national debt.
How do you do that, though? I mean, we've talked about this problem for such a long time. I remember 20 trillion, 15 trillion, it just went up, and now we're at 30. I feel like it's going to be at 50 or 100 trillion before anybody even cares.
Yeah, and that is the challenge of this. And again, you go back to even 2 years ago, we get into the time of COVID and all that's happening in the economy. The American economy sustains literally the entire world. And there was a move to say, okay, we got to be able to stabilize our economy that everyone had wide agreement on. It was the classic rainy day, but there was no rainy day fund. That just accelerated all of this debt that's happening. And a lot of my Democrat colleagues thought, gosh, that was really fun. We got to spend tons of money. Let's keep doing that and keep doing that again. We should have the opposite reaction. On the backside of COVID, we should be saying, how are we going to limit spending? How are we going to pay off that debt? How are we going to actually recover from this, both as families, individuals, businesses, and as a government? But instead, they seem to be leaning forward on this. I understand the big payments from 2 years ago. It can't continue. We've got to actually pay debt off. That's the responsible thing to do.
You're right about that. It's scary. It really is scary when you look to the future. I want to switch gears. I want to talk about Biden's energy agenda. The annual Gallup Mood of the Nation poll found 73% of Americans, about 3 in 4, not satisfied with Biden's energy policies. And frankly, nobody's satisfied really any policy. But this is the lowest satisfaction number in 2 decades. And I guess nobody should be surprised as far as energy goes. How many mistakes are they making? They pander so hard to the environmentalists. They still sign oil and gas leases in the United States. They still let everyone else burn it, and then they raise your gas prices to boot.
Yeah, this is the same thing where people say right track, wrong track. That 73 number is pretty consistent for the entire issues of every issue in the Biden administration. But this energy issue, people feel immediately. Their natural gas prices are up. Their gasoline prices are up. When they fill up their tank with gas, they're feeling the effects of inflation going on. And then the Biden administration completely owns this. Day one, they canceled the Keystone pipeline and then turned to the Russians and said, but you can do your pipeline. We're not going to do any sanctions on that, meaning we're not going to sell American natural gas into Europe. We're going to allow the Russians to sell natural gas into Europe. And they continue to be able to block off all these different leases that are happening and make it harder to put capital in. Something that a lot of people are not talking about right now is some of the Biden administration's picks for the Federal Reserve are individuals that are aggressively opposed to anything fossil fuels. They're trying to be able to cut off capital through the Federal Reserve so that banks don't actually do lending to any of these oil and gas companies or anyone doing coal. That will drive the price up even more for these companies. So they're quietly trying to attack their very progressive policies by hurting the consumers, and the consumers feel it and know it.
That's well said. Finally, I want to take a look at a clip here from Senator Ted Cruz. This is a Senate hearing from yesterday asking Biden's nominee for U.S. District Judge in California, Kenly Kia Cato, a very simple question. Flat out, is racial discrimination wrong? Watch this.
Our Constitution prohibits race discrimination, discrimination on the basis of race.
Okay, let me ask again, is racial discrimination wrong?
Senator, as a judge, I don't deal with issues of morality.
It's just so fun. I mean, what the left has done to this country in regards to race is hilarious. To watch all of these people just stepping all over themselves to get around a basic question.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and answer the question for her. Yes.
Yeah.
Discrimination is wrong. This shouldn't be that hard. This is not some trick question from Senator Cruz. It's a straightforward question, but for whatever reason, they are continuing to be twisted around on a simple, straightforward issue. It's the reason American people look at it and say, I'm tired of the games. Just tell me the truth. Just tell me what's actually going on, and don't try to play with our schools, our system of government, our courts. Just let's have the best qualified people actually do that job, and let's continue to be able to move forward.
Well said. Senator James Lankford, sir, thank you so much for coming on. Good to see you.
You bet. Good to see you as well.